Alright guys, welcome to the next topic of the intermediate part of the course, and this one will cover risk to reward. And in my opinion, this is a topic that isn't really talked about much, and it hasn't been talked about, you know, before like 6 months ago. And honestly, it's such a massive topic that if you're able to essentially understand these concepts and understand how to take advantage of these concepts, risk to reward instead of looking at 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 5 to 1, 6 to 1, you can look at 30 to 1, 40 to 1, 50 to 1, 60 to 1, all by adding some little touches to your trading plan and just how you trade in general. And because these days, all you hear people talk about is, oh, you should have a pip goal. Oh, you should be looking at how many pips you get a trade. You should be looking at how many trades you win. Your win rate should always be positive. No, that's negative. That's not correct. And that's just because of risk to reward, right? And so let's think about this in perspective. At the end of the day, Forex is an investment. All of this is an investment, right? So what does that mean? That means that what matters most in an investment isn't necessarily how much money you make, because that can go into just you being greedy and all that. It goes into your ROI, how much return on investment you get based off of a percentage, right? And a lot of people don't understand that, because if you can risk, for example, 1%, 2%, 3%, and then gain 30, 40, 50%, that's insane, because there's investors that pray to have 10% in a year, 20% in even 2 to 3 years. And a lot of people, you guys know this if you guys have ever been to a firm or you actually have money in a firm or in a hedge or anything, right? So let's compare these. This is the same trade, same scenario, but different outcome, and I'm going to show you why. So here this is typically how these fib traders these days, this is exactly how they would take a trade, right? My entry is a 61.8. My stop loss is right above 78.6 or 79, doesn't matter. It's about 5 pips above that. And your targets are obviously 0, -27, -61.8, -1. But for these purposes, I'm going to use the -127 pip extension. And based off of this trade, we have a stop loss of 26 pips, and you gained 223 pips, 224 basically, right? But now let's look at this from this perspective, right? So like I said before, this is called inefficient pricing, and we're going to get to that in the advanced part. But what you got to understand here is, based off of the rules of the inefficiency, I placed my stop loss right above the closure of that, and my entry was relatively in the middle of this inefficient pricing zone, right? So now my stop loss is relatively 4 pips, and my take profit is 223 pips, right? Which is, basically relatively the same in terms of how many pips I caught. So cool, we just caught 226 pips. That's amazing, right? But no, that's not what matters here. What matters here is the fact that the risk to reward is extremely different, right? You caught a snipe on both trades. You took profit, you hit TP relatively fast, and the difference here is the risk to reward, right? 55 to 8. All right, let's put that in perspective, right? This is a 55 risk to reward, and there's an 8 risk to reward. What does that mean? That means that 1% risk equals 8% reward. Right, let me make that bigger for you guys. Right, so now when you're thinking 55 to 1, that means you just risked 1% and made 55%. And obviously that can vary, 2%, 110%, and that's like, if you risk 2%, I mean, I typically will never go above 1% risk, just because if you don't really pay attention to the detail, you can easily lose 1% like that. And I know people don't want to do that, because then that messes with psychology, blah, blah, blah. And we'll get to that later on. But as for now, I just made 55% on a trade, and the other individual made 8% of the trade. But we caught the same amount of pips. We had the same win rate, which is one win, and the difference in profit is significant. Like, look, let's say we have a $5,000 account, right? If you just made 8% back, 8% back, right? That means 1% is $50. So you just made $400. Whereas if you made 55%, right? Let me do the math real quick on this. That is going to be 50 times 55. Right? You just made $2,750 in one trade. Right? That is essentially, that can be someone's week. You know, that can be someone's, how much they make in 2, 3, 4 weeks. Some people only make $500 a week. You know, part-timers make $300 a week. So just look at that massive difference just because you aim for precision and you don't just aim to get the trade, right? Obviously you want to get the trade, but you not only get in the trade, but you aim with precision, right? That alone, if you can hit with precision and you can improve your win rate by being conservative, that's it. That's literally, you can build a plan off of that, and that is, you know, your quote unquote secret sauce, right? So it's crazy how just something so little can make such a big difference. That is a $2,200 difference. And I don't know about you guys, but $2,200, if I'll take that over 400, $2,700 over 400, I mean, I'll take that any day of the week. I don't know who wouldn't, right? So just focus on that. Risk reward is honestly everything. And this is something not many people talk about. And now you see people talking about it because I exposed them to it. Like, I promise you, a ton of these guys that spam risk to reward and talking about that stuff, I promise you that they more than likely learned from me. So now you guys have it. So yeah, guys, this is, you know, like I said, these are simple topics. It's just the key is to be aware of it and be open-minded enough to actually, you know, listen to this stuff and actually do something with this stuff. So yeah, guys, I mean, that's it for this one.